Joining me here now on the Rich Eisen Show Mercedes-Benz Vans phone line. We had a nice chat during halftime of the Westwood One coverage on the radio of the final International Series game. It was a game, actually, when he and I were talking. It was just a one-score game, and then the 49ers took care of business in the second half. At any rate, Ian Rappaport joining me here now on the Rich Eisen Show. How are you, sir?
I'm good. That steam looked amazing. I mean, I know Germany was awesome, and you guys sounded like you had a blast, and there was no country roads, which was a little bit of a downer, but that looked awesome last night.
Well, I mean, it's interesting that that Kyle Shanahan and Jimmy Garoppolo sounded just like Tom Brady did at the end of the Munich game, which is like, this is one of the greatest experiences I've ever seen. The energy is incredible. If I can't be in my home stadium, I'd rather be here. And, you know, I saw what I saw last night, and what I saw was a team that looked incredibly confident, the team that looked completely crisp, and they didn't even get McCaffrey in the end zone. I mean, McCaffrey's biggest contribution in the end zone was to check on the cameraman that got hit by Ayuk's celebratory toss. You know what I mean? Like that's a scary team that we saw last night.
Well, and you could see, you know, the public is sort of really on the 49ers. And I think they were really, I guess the McCaffrey trade really kind of changed everything, and they kind of came out of it, used him a little bit the first game, and everybody was like, oh boy, like this, they could be good. And you know, you look at the record, and they were 4-5, and you're like, okay, like we'll see what happens. Like, I don't know what they're the favorites for, and the record is not great, but they looked really, really good, and I would hate to face them. And so, you know, I remember when the McCaffrey trade happened, everybody was talking about the value, and I know there was plenty of teams that thought that a second rounder plus was too much. Now I think it was a bargain.
Yeah.
Right?
Right. And I was talking just moments ago about how great the Cowboys looked as well. And Tony Pollard has been spectacular, you know, when he does get his touches, and he's getting more touches. But I still look at that, and I'm thinking to myself, if I'm the Cowboys, if I'm the Jones family, and I see what I saw last night by the Niners, boy, we could use another playmaker in Odell Beckham Jr.
Yeah.
What's the latest on that?
Yeah, I mean, Thanksgiving is, I think, Thursday.
Yes, it is.
Sure.
Can confirm.
Confirmed. Got it. Okay,
Yes.
So Thursday. I had that first, by the way. But I had expected you confirmed it. That's fine. Anyway, so he's going to meet with the Cowboys after Thanksgiving. My understanding was that was going to be the Monday or Tuesday. So not like the Friday, like he's not spending his Black Friday in Dallas. I would assume he's shopping. He's going to be there after Thanksgiving. And, you know, I know the Giants are definitely interested. Sounds like there's plans for a visit there as well. But I think there's a real possibility that Odell and Dallas go, you know what, this just makes a lot of sense. And I think for him, the opportunity to go to one of the NFL's best brands and one of the NFL's best teams, and his ACL is definitely more healthy than it was at this time last year. I know he was healthy last year, but, like, the first surgery did not go great. The second surgery went a lot better, so he is in a really good place right now. This makes a lot of sense, and I think if you're Dallas, Rich, you're not just like, oh, yeah, you know, really happy to make the playoffs, like, let's go. Like, you're talking Super Bowl, and we saw that Odell was basically the final piece last year. Is he the final piece for Dallas this year?
So do you know for certain, is he going to give the Cowboys the first shot and thus the first chance to not let him out of the building, which is always the phrase you hear when a free agent visits, that if you want him and you can make him the best offer, you do it there and make sure he doesn't leave the building and think about somebody else or visit someone else?
I do not know for certain that it's going to be first.
Mm-hmm.
My guess would be that it is, but I don't know for sure. But I would say this, like, Dallas has been, you know, sort of aggressively or attentively checking on his health. They've had discussions with his agent. I don't think it's been like, you know, would you do a 3-year, whatever. I think it's been discussions. But they have been into it for some time. My guess is Odell knows around what they would offer. I think they'd like to see the knee. But, yeah, I mean, there's definitely been a mutual love interest here. And God bless the Cowboys for leaning really hard into this and giving us something to talk about for the last 3 weeks. Mm-hmm. I think the world will explode if he doesn't sign with the Cowboys, because everyone probably expects it now, but it's going to be a fascinating couple of days.
Any surprise team that you hear? Could the Niners even be involved? I mean, could there be another team that we're not hearing, or other teams that might have been interested in? Rams, Packers are no longer in the mix because they don't have a shot to win this year?
Yeah, I would say the Chiefs would probably have some interest.
What about the Bucks? What about Tom Brady?
Fan.
What about the Bucks? Not to interrupt you, but what about Tampa? What are you hearing about that?
I had heard Tampa as a potential destination, but like 3 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
I have not heard them recently, but it's like I was joking free agency that if there's ever a mystery team, it's always the Bills because they're very stealth. Tampa and Tom Brady, if there's a free agent who's available, who's good, my guess is the Bucks have some sort of cursory interest. So I don't know for sure that the Bucks are involved, but if they were, I wouldn't be surprised.
Ian Rappaport joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show, Mercedes-Benz Vans phone line at Rap Sheet on Twitter. Give him a follow if you are one of the very few that already haven't. Let's jump into Justin Fields here, who is clearly the best quarterback and the most developing quarterback out of the draft class from last year, and I think is now the apple of many fantasy teams' eyes.
Oh, yeah.
How hurt is he right now? What do you got for me on that front?
Well, I would say he's hurt, but his status is still TBD. I mean, it's a real injury. It's something that I think was really painful. It is a left shoulder injury, so we have seen quarterbacks sustain left shoulder injuries in the past and play. Baker Mayfield is one, and Trubisky had one a couple years ago. There's been some history of this, so I would say his status is TBA. The team feels optimistic on him playing, so that at least is a good sign, but you don't really know until you get through a couple of days and see how he responds. I would say this, he definitely is the most productive of those young quarterbacks. He's also being extremely well coached. If you look what Luke Getsy, the offensive coordinator, has done, around the time of the Patriots game, everything changed. Started taking some plays from college, started opening everyone's minds, being like, we are going to use all of Justin Fields. And I think the Chicago Bears this year, their record is obviously not very good, but it kind of feels like they are a really, really well-coached team. And I think he sort of embodies all of that.
So what is the latest with, again, his evaluation? I know you're not in the MRI room or what have you, but if the guy's got a separated shoulder, which is, the initial word on the street, right? Then why is there any consideration? Are they just checking to see if it is separated or not right now, Ian?
Well, I think there's pain, and then there's how functional can you be, and everyone's different, and he's a little different because he's very physical. If you told me, let's say Tom Brady. Tom Brady is playing with plenty of left shoulder injuries. He can deal with it, and it's not like he's out there running. Justin Fields is going to get hit. And if he's not, then he's not going to be the Fields that you sort of want out there, right? Like if he's not going to be the dynamic multi-threat weapon that he's been, then maybe it doesn't make sense to play him. So I think that's what's different for him is he's going to get tackled, and how would he respond to that?
Yeah, and the team that he's facing is a Jets team that comes off a 6-sack performance and is one of the top
defense is legit.
I mean, there's no and that has been part of the pressure cooker that keeps building on Zach Wilson is the idea that he needs to win now because the defense is ready to do that. The defense is fully baked out of the oven, I think, a lot sooner than a lot of people thought. And that adds to the whole equation of how Zach Wilson is performing, and then his performance on the field and then at the podium after the game has created, as you know, a national furor. And it's not just, again, in New York City. It's been a conversation coast to coast. And so Robert Saleh kind of surprised some people by saying, all options are on the table as to who's starting against the Bears. He's evaluating. What's your reporting on that, Ian?
Well, first of all, I would say obviously the performance was bad, and he the worst thing that would happen to Zach Wilson is the team being so good around him, because it's almost like if we assume he is developing, which I don't know, but if we assume that as a young quarterback that he is developing and theoretically getting better, there's no patience now because the team is good, probably better than we all thought. I mean, you look at what Robert Saleh and Joe Douglas have built, like, except for quarterback, I think that it is really, really good. I do think, Rich, that, all the Jets fans watched how rough his performance was, and that was, whatever it was not good. But I think the performance at the press conference took it to a national level. I think that caught everyone's attention. Like, I think it might have been a little more under the – I don't know what Robert Saleh would have done otherwise, but it definitely took it from a local story to a national story when you had him get up there and just kind of go, meh, I don't really owe it to the – it was none of that was good. And any casual viewer, like, turned to the TV quickly and was like, what? So I think that really changed the calculus for Zach Wilson.
Right, and then and it might have changed the calculus for Robert Saleh because that's part of the evaluation. And so, any idea who number 2 would be? Who would they turn to? They got a veteran in Flacco, and they got a guy in Mike White who, for a couple of games last year in place of Zach Wilson showed even before this year what the offense can do when somebody's operating at a more efficient rate.
Well, I mean, that's one of the biggest issues the Jets have is Mike White has been the backup recently, so my assumption would be him. But we're really, really good, and then others not so good. Mike White has had his moments where he was really, really the apple of the eye. And then my guess would be him just for the potential upside. Mm-hmm. But it's not as clear-cut as I think it would be for a lot of teams if they decide to go away from Zach Wilson, which we don't even know that now. And I would think Saleh takes the week to decide.
Ian Rappaport here on the Rich Eisen Show. What seats are hot? Or we're just assuming it is in Denver. What are you telling me? What can you tell me entering Thanksgiving week as to which coaching seats might be hot? Ian.
Well, I would say Denver for sure will be evaluated at the end of the season. We'll see how they finish. If you look around the league, there's not that many obvious ones, right? Like people take a look at Arizona, obviously disappointing season. They all got extensions before the year. Like, could something happen? Sure, things could always happen, but they all got extensions. So if they were going to make a move, they could do it. You could always do it, but it would be very expensive. Absent that, I'm not sure I see an obvious one. I mean, you might get a retirement. I guess that's always possible. But I think, Rich, we get to the same point every year where I'm in, late November, early December. I look around and I go, man, I don't think anybody's getting fired. And then we get to December and a couple teams finish, 0-3 or 0-4, and things get a lot hotter, and we'll see. But there's been so much turnover the last couple of years that it feels like it'll be a little bit of a lean year when it comes to firings, but I guess we'll sort of see.
And so your ear to the ground on what's going on in Indianapolis and the rest of the league, and any sense of Saturday's first 2 weeks? He's damn near almost 2-0, and so the wheels have definitely not fallen off the wagon there. And they're in Pittsburgh this coming week on a Monday night. It's going to be a national conversation. Obviously, ESPN, one would think, would have an inside track to have a sit down with their former employee. So, what's the general sense that you're hearing when you're talking to folks now, 2 games into Jeff Saturday's surprise hiring?
Well, I think a couple things happen. One is when you have an interim coach, in a very strange way, it ends all drama, right? Like every week it was Frank Reich benching the quarterback, it was firing the coordinator, it was job status, it was Irsay being upset. When you have an interim, it all goes away, and everyone stops talking about you. Same thing in Carolina. Like, there's no questions. You just kind of be. So I think that probably helped the locker room. I think Saturday's message has probably been fine. I mean, he's very good in front of a microphone, so I would expect him to be good talking to the team. It seems like the assistant coaches have done a really good job, and I guess, what they say is that he's delegated really well, which means the assistant coaches are doing well. We'll see what happens. I mean, I would still be, pretty surprised if a guy who is not a coach became the head coach there. But I guess stranger things have happened. I'm just not sure I know of any.
I've never heard of such a thing, right? I mean, it has been beyond fascinating, and we'll see how it all works out. Ian Rappaport, have a great Thanksgiving, brother. Let's chat again soon. I'll chat with you, I imagine, on Thursday morning, on game day morning.
All right. Look forward to it, Rich. Thanks for having me.
Take care, pal.
Thanksgiving.
You got it. That's Ian Rappaport, NFL Network, right here on The Rich Eisen Show. Catch The Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.